Welcome, everyone. This is the Book Talk Nation event with Liz Fenton, Lisa Steinke, and Allison Wynn Scotch. This will work a little bit like an author event in a bookstore. Liz and Lisa will talk about their new book, Your Perfect Life. If you would like to order their book, you can do so at booktalknation.com or right here on this video page, and Liz and Lisa will sign and personalize it for you. The bookstore, The Bookstall, will fulfill all of the orders and ship them to your door. The sales for these signed and personalized copies will close tomorrow night, so you'll want to make sure you get your orders in by then. You'll notice underneath this window, right down there, there's a chat box. You can use that chat box to interact with Liz and Lisa during the video chat and enter your questions. In about 20 minutes, Liz and Lisa will answer their questions from that chat and also some of the pre-submitted questions that you submitted ahead of time when you RSVP'd for the event. Until then, I'm going to hand it over to our interviewer tonight, Allison Wynn Scotch. Allison Wynn Scotch is the New York Times bestselling author of 5 novels, including The Theory of Opposites and Time of My Life. So welcome, Liz and Lisa and Allison. And Allison, I'll turn it over to you to start the interview.
Okay, well, thank you. Hi, ladies. Hi, audience. I'm not quite sure where I should be looking, but hi.
You listen.
Congratulations. The book is out tomorrow. How are you feeling?
Surreal. Yeah. Anxious.
So, well, I think that both of those are very normal. I mean, even 5 books in, I still feel pretty nauseated, like in the days leading up to everything. One of my friends refers to it as the publication diet, where you feel like you can't eat.
Is that why I haven't eaten all day? Okay, got it.
All week, just wait. So, to start off with, tell the audience a little bit about Your Perfect Life. I have a lot of questions about how you write and how it all works, but fill them in on what they would be getting if they buy the book tomorrow.
Well, it's the story of 2 childhood best friends that wake up the morning after their 20th high school reunion to discover they've switched bodies. And
I know you two, sorry, my tweet just went off that somebody is watching this, and my screen went silent. Hi, Sarah McCoy. I should probably close my Twitter feed. So obviously you two are childhood best friends, and I write by myself, obvious statement. How do you guys manage the writing? I couldn't imagine sort of working with another brain, but you guys have known each other since how old?
Since we were 14.
Okay, 14. Yeah. So how does the actual, like, did you guys come up with this concept and then say, that's perfect, we should play off each other? How did that work?
Well, in Your Perfect Life, it's actually a dual narrative. So the story's told from Rachel and Casey's perspective, and it switches back and forth. So for this particular book, we each took a character and kind of were the lead person on that character, and then we pass it back and forth. And the other person edits in it. So by the end of the day, like, we each write a lot in every chapter. But that's really
so interesting. So where did the concept come up with, other than you two are childhood best friends? Obviously you haven't had a shot at your reunion and switched bodies. So where did this formulate?
Well, when we were brainstorming what we wanted to write about, we were just talking about our friendship, and we had come to a point in our friendship where we were just in drastically different places. I was single, workaholic, living in Los Angeles. Liz was married with 2 young children and also working, and we just realized that even though we'd been friends for so long, there was a lot we didn't really get about each other. So that's what inspired the concept.
That's so fascinating, and I feel like I love exploring that as well. Like, the collective history that you have with someone really might be the basis of your friendship, but if you were to meet them now, how much would you really have in common? And I imagine that's something that you guys had the opportunity to explore and obviously have spoken about as friends.
Yeah, I think even like we are continuing to find how much we don't know about each other, and I think that's the thing that's been most surprising about writing books together and almost like kind of running a business together and doing all this is how much we don't know about each other. It's kind of interesting.
Do you feel like, do you guys work together every day? Like, how does the actual writing work?
Well, Liz still has a full-time job.
Right. I know. I
don't even know. And she grows kale. I don't know how she does that. But
I'm trying to grow kale. It's not working. We're gonna have to talk.
I don't know how she does it, but you want to take this one? Or, well, I mean, we definitely email a lot. Yeah. And we try to get on the phone every couple days, but we don't
talk on the phone as much as you'd probably think we do. I mean, email and texting communication. Yeah. We find in the writing process sometimes it's nice to have that space. Like if I write a chapter and I send it to her, and she sends it back to me totally edited. It's nice to have that space where I can kind of take it in. And,
sometimes you need a moment because you're getting critiqued as you're going. So
you guys have disagreements?
Yeah,
sometimes.
We're pretty good. I mean, we have a rule that whoever wrote the chapter, if they really, really want something, they get to keep it. But it rarely comes to that.
I think we've gotten a lot better. I mean, I think that in the past, now it's like clockwork. And I think this book was actually really easy to write, and we knew we were writing it that Your Perfect Life was going to be different because it was really easy.
So when you guys each chose the character, and I always hate these questions because people assume when you're writing fiction that it's you, which is not the case. I mean, maybe I always say there are little aspects of you thrown in, but it's really not an autobiography. But when you sat down and you were working on the characters, was it just very clear as to who should be whom? Did you self-identify very quickly?
I think the way we basically decided to do it is because I had worked in television and because the character Casey works in television, we decided I would take Rachel because Rachel wakes up in Casey's body and she has the whole experience of navigating the television world. So that was really the basics for it.
And then the other thing, too, was Rachel. My kids were a little bit older at the time we were writing this, and Lisa had a baby. Right. And I still, this your kids are around the same age as mine, Allison, but like I already almost forgot how to change a diaper. So we thought it'd be fun for me to write Casey and go into Rachel's body and have that experience again with the baby, which I hadn't had in 4 or 5 years, which it felt like a lifetime for me.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, ideally, when you're an author, you're not just regurgitating information that you're learning, and that you want to be learning something about yourself. And it sounds like you guys even had a chance to explore your friendships. It's not, you don't just want to purge. Hopefully, it's sort of like catharsis and therapy as you go. So.
In fact, we got in a little argument a couple months ago, and in the middle of the conversation, I'm like, "Do we need to do a purple shot right now?"
Yeah,
just because it was more like this. You're living this life. You're living this life, and so it's still and that's really one of the themes of the book is like friendships don't have to be perfect to be meaningful. In fact, they probably shouldn't be. There probably should be some messiness in there so you can learn from it.
Well, I feel like, I love reading books about that's a little bit messy, particularly when you are maybe particularly out of your college years and out of your 20s. Life gets really complicated, particularly with your friendships, and everybody moves every which way, and some people have kids, some people don't, some people get married, they get divorced, and the effort has to be there, and it gets really complicated. So, I think this is an exciting book to sort of contemplate all of those things. And I think now more than ever, other than logging on to Facebook where you can catch up with people, it has to be a real conscious effort to maintain some of these friendships.
Absolutely. And you said this today, earlier we were talking, we just want when you're done reading this book to pick it up and just want to call your best friend. We're hoping this makes you start thinking about your own friendships and looking at your own life and appreciate it.
Right. And so what else can readers expect beyond the friendship? I know it's super funny.
I think about the other thing, too, we talked about this morning, too, in another interview, it's about appreciating your own life. Because I think Rachel and Casey, they both think that the other person's life is better and that it's easier. Right. Like, oh, their life's so easy. And I think someone was asking me, I think it's really about taking a step back and this day, social media, you're on social media a lot, and everyone makes their life perfect, and their life isn't perfect, so it's really about stepping back in your own life and how to make my own life perfect, or perfect in its imperfections.
Well, that was one of my questions for you, because obviously the title really resonates with a lot of women who see these sort of aspirational things online, and probably I am a really big fan of understanding that has very little to do with reality. But there is sort of this notion, and I feel like sort of the Gwyneth Paltrow perpetuation of you can have this goop life, and who's to say that makes you happier? So I love the idea that you have to sort of peel back the layers and say nobody is necessarily happier in terms of your perception from the outside.
Yeah, and I think it's a big thing right now, and I think it is like you look and say, well, I'm inadequate mom because I'm not feeding my kid kale. And I think there's a huge thing going on with this, and I think we hope that this book you read and be like, you know what, nobody's life is perfect, no matter what filtered pictures they're putting on Facebook, and we all play the game, and I filtered every picture we put on Instagram.
Do I look filtered now? Do I have an Instagram glow?
We made the guy take like 50 pictures of Dry Bar and like do it up, and then we filtered that out of it, and that's life. But I think you have to be in on the joke, like that's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always feel badly when people feel like they should feel worse about themselves based on what they're seeing on Facebook, because none of it is reality, much like none of these movie stars are reality. And I love that the book explores that, because nobody's life is perfect, and it's sort of an insane proposition to think that we all don't have a lot of the same problems. Well, it sounds awesome. So I wanted to ask you guys, I know that you have been big supporters of, I don't want to say Chicklet, because now the website is Liz and Lisa, but, other women writers and other great fiction. So tell me a little bit about your path to publication, because I'm sure a lot of writers out there want to know how you guys got published.
Go ahead. Well, we had written 2 manuscripts before this one that didn't sell. And we did the self-publishing thing, and then when we got to this book, we said, okay, we're going to try one more time. And for us, we wanted to go the traditional publishing route, and so we said, if this one doesn't go, then we're probably going to stop. Mm-hmm. So that's where we were at that point, and our process was a little bit, I think, a lot different actually than most. I mean, we had met our now editor, Greer Hendricks, at an event, and just chatted with her, not even about our book, just said hi, basically. And then later she and Liz emailed about something else. Liz had written a post supporting several of her authors, and in that email exchange, Liz said, hey, we're writing a book. And Greer said, what's it about? And Liz said, it's about this. And she said, well, when you're done with it, why don't you send it my way?
Yeah, so then we freaked out, and we were only about 30,000 words in at that point, and it was probably December, and I was like, we'll have it to you by February. September, when we were 9 months later, when we were actually really done with it, because we needed to be perfect. It was going to her. And we ran it through a freelance editor, which is something I recommend to anybody before they query their manuscript. I just think it's really important. And I didn't know she'd remember us. I mean, I put it in the email chain. I was like, hey. And
please read below.
Yeah, remember this? Yeah, I was like, and 5 days later, I got an email back saying she wanted to buy it. So, and we didn't even have an agent. Yeah, so she was like, who do you want for, your agent? And, we share an agent. So we said, Elizabeth.
Best agent ever.
We had always wanted. It was a dream.
Yeah, we crushed on it. So crazy.
It was actually, it was sitting in her inbox at the time. We sent it to her and Greer, and that was it. And so it just felt like, this, destiny thing.
Yeah.
We were meant to all be together.
But we realize it doesn't normally happen this way.
Yeah.
It happens a bunch of different ways.
Manuscripts, but we got lucky, and we've talked about that a lot, that I do think luck plays a role in all of this, and we feel really thankful.
Well, it does, and I feel the same way even all these years later, but you guys sort of had the cojones to write a 3rd book, and that I was going to ask you what your advice would be for somebody who was maybe where you guys were a few years ago. I don't think that luck, perseverance played a big part in it, and plenty of people would have stopped at the 1st book or the 2nd book. I also had a manuscript that never got published, thank God, but people have to understand that it's real work, and it's not just you write something and you don't accept that maybe that one shouldn't be published, or
I think we knew we weren't writing what we wanted to write the first 2 times. We were writing what we thought the publishing world wanted. And
Mhm.
that was the other thing we decided on Your Perfect Life. We're just going to write what we want to write. We're going to tell the story we want to tell, and if they like it, great, and if they don't, we'll figure it out. So
Right.
Feedback, and this is advice. I personally, and then I'm curious what you say, but I would say take feedback. Be careful who you ask for feedback from. Make sure it's going to be valuable, but then take that feedback, because what I found is sometimes writers ask for feedback, they don't really want it. And we got a lot of feedback in those first 2 books, and there's reasons why those books didn't sell.
Right.
And we really also, besides writing from our heart in the 3rd one, we really tried to take that feedback and incorporate it, and I think that made a big difference. But you don't want to get too much feedback, because then it's like this one person's telling you A and this other person's telling you B, and you're all messed up. I mean,
Right.
that makes a lot. That's what we did. We were able to get some really, really good advice, and we applied it, and we think that's what made all of the difference.
Yeah, I always say that constructive criticism is often the difference between a good writer and a great writer, and I always welcome those notes, because I know that I can get my books to a certain point, and then somebody has to come in and tell me this needs to be changed.
Yeah.
And I think, if you want to protect your ego and not get better as a writer, you might not publish. I mean, not to say that that is what has to be done, but listen, 5 books in, I get long notes, and things need to be changed, and that's what makes the book better. So, bravo to you guys for recognizing that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
just did our revisions for the Status of All Things, which is coming out next year, and it's still, it's still like a long letter, so it's, I think
But when you turn it in, don't you think it's going to be a short letter?
We're lucky there's 2 of us, so if one of us is about to jump over the ledge, the other one can pull her back. So that's another reason we're very, happy to be a team.
Yeah.
Well, that was going to be my next question, because I know that we're going to take reader questions in a minute. What's next? But you guys, you want to tell us? Can you tell us about the next book, or what? Can you share?
We love talking about the next. We just finished it, so we're like totally in love with it. But it's called The Status of All Things, and it's about a woman who's just really obsessed with social media, and something really traumatic happens to her, and all of a sudden all her Facebook statuses start coming true.
That is amazing.
Yeah, so, and
Oh, boy.
we just talked about that theme about like social media. Like this book really, really gets into it about trying to be perfect. Yeah.
Oh, I cannot wait to read. I mean, that's like that's a great idea, and it's exciting. No, I really think it is.
A lot of fun writing it.
Well, it sounds that way, and I think, as you guys said with this book, the more you really love the writing and the characters and are not trying to stick yourself into a corner, I think the more readers enjoy it. And if they don't, you understand that you loved it, so it's totally okay. It's when you put out a product that maybe you weren't crazy about and then they don't enjoy it, then it might resonate a little bit more. I mean, it happens, but yeah. So that sounds awesome. And then do you have another one since you finished that one?
Well, we're gonna start on something. We've got a 3rd one that we'll be starting. We've got some ideas, and we've got a finished manuscript. We may go back and revise, so we're gonna be making decisions on that. But that would be for 2016, so we've got some time.
And are all of these books dual narrators?
Actually, no. The next one's a single narrative. So
how did you guys do that?
I wrote chapter 1. She wrote chapter 2. And
same concept, we pass it, but we just wrote in the same voice. We were scared, but actually wasn't a problem.
You guys can mimic each other's voice?
Yeah, I think we've just known each other for so long. We're basically the same person, so
we talk with our eyes all the time.
Me too.
We did an interview this morning on live TV, and I turned to her and heard the interview. It was just like, and she's like, hey, I don't know.
So I guess one more question. Has the publishing process, now that you've been through it, I mean, you still have some stuff to go, has it been what you have expected, like when you were thinking about it?
Thanks. That's a good question. I would say, no. I mean, we just had no idea what was going on behind the scenes. I mean, even though we were running the website and we had, contacts with publishers and people, it's completely different, and we're just learning so much every single day, and just thrilled with our team. Atria, but no, I would say we didn't know a whole lot before it.
Yeah, and we don't even want to. When we came in, we just saying, we tell our editor in Asia all the time, like, just tell. We don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
So we just want to kind of take it all in and learn.
Yeah.
And from a marketing standpoint, do what we think needs to be done, but really listen to them and
Right.
within experience.
When you pull back the curtain, it's very. I mean, there's so much. It's like the vibes back there. Yeah.
You know until you get behind the curtain. That's a really good way of putting it.
It's a fun ride. I'll tell you that much. It's fun.
It is. It is. Well, so we're told that I'm reading the chat that questions are going to come in from readers.
All right.
That is correct. It's about. Hi everybody. There he is again. It's as Allison said, it's time for us to take a few reader and audience questions. So go ahead and keep typing those in the chat room, and we will answer live. So I'm going to start with the first one that was asked by Sarah McCoy. If you, Liz and Lisa, woke up one morning to discover that you had switched bodies with each other, a la Casey and Rachel, what would you boast as your favorite new physical feature, and how would you flaunt it?
Oh, boy. All right. Well, I mean, can I say this online? I would say your boobs.
Oh, thanks.
I would flaunt those bad boys. You've had 2 kids and you'd never know it. That's all I'm going to say.
I would take Lisa's legs and her arms. Like, they're so thick. Like, she does Pilates all the time. She has, like, not Madonna arms because hers are too muscly, but, like, they're her arms and legs.
Thanks.
I would, like, never wear sweaters, ever.
That was a good one. That was one of the best ones I've gotten when doing these events. That was a very, very good question. So thank you very much for that question.
You just like had boobs in it.
Kind of on the same line, Laura from San Diego writes, "What is your favorite Trading Places movie or book?"
I like before Lindsay Lohan got all cracked out. I loved that Freaky Friday with her and Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm not afraid to admit it. I love that movie.
I like the original Freaky Friday, I think, if I had to pick.
Allison, what about you?
I really like Big, and I really like 13 Going on 30. So.
Those are better.
I love.
I mean, they're not so. Yeah, I guess Big is. Yeah, they're switching bodies, sort of.
It's the same idea.
Same idea.
Big is a classic. You can't get rid of Big.
My kids watched it now. It's so great. So great. Yeah.
The next question comes from Grace Amon from Eugene, Oregon. Lisa, do you think you'd ever, Lisa or Liz, do you ever think you'd like to write children's books?
We talked about it.
Actually, I would. I don't know if I would know where to begin with all of that, because I think it's so much is about the illustrations, but I had a horse. I won't get into it, but I had a horse when I was in high school. At least used to make fun of me about, and we talked about writing about him. His name was Halifax, but so maybe.
Yeah,
you never know.
Never say never, right?
Now, are there any characters in the book that are inspired by real-life people that you know or friends with, family members? I'm sure it's a little different because since it's a collaborative process, there might be some people you're drawing just from, memories and your own family that you're bringing together. Are there any characters that are based off of real people?
No, we're smarter than that.
Yeah, no.
Smarter than to answer that question is very
yes. Right? No, I would say no.
Yeah, no. There's elements of us, and I think all the books we write, but nobody's really based on any one person.
I think as a writer, you're always an observer, and so I think that you might take, 30 traits from 30 different people and and put them into one character. And I think that some person might read it and say, "Oh, I do that." Well, but it's not them. I mean, so I don't know that's the way to answer it, but it's a tough question.
I also found, just to add into that if you really modeled a character after someone, when it really had to become fictional, like totally different circumstances than you would see them in, you found like backed into a corner because you could only imagine what that person would do. And I found it, I haven't done it, but I just feel like you would really, you box yourself in. So I steer clear of it too.
Interesting. Now, we have time for a few more. when and how did you know that you wanted to be an author?
I always have wanted to, since the time I was a child. I have, and we were talking about this earlier, but with each other. But I have like poems from high school after boyfriends broke up with me. I mean, they're horrible. But I was always writing. I wrote stories as a kid, and then we had always talked about wanting to write a book together. It took us 15 years to finally get to the point where we started that process, but we always talked about it. So I think for me, I did.
You know, I always loved writing, and I wrote a lot, and I read a lot. I don't know if I ever was like, hey, I want to be an author. I think it just seemed like such a huge, I don't know, thing to accomplish. Yeah. But I definitely, we talked about this earlier today too, but I have some journals in the back of my closet from college, but I do not know they really showcase my talent. But, you know, so I mean, we definitely have always written it. We've always read quite a bit and love other authors.
Oh, speaking of, this is the one last question. Is there any, and this is from Pamela who just posted it, are there any particular books or groups of books that you found most helpful in learning to write, learning in your writing process? I know a lot of people will say that reading is the best thing to help a good writer. Are there any particular books that you could recommend that are good, that inspired you along the way?
I think Allison's book, your second book, Allison, The Time of My Life, that is like one of our all-time favorite books. And it's a book that we've always talked about a lot and was really inspired. I'm not just saying that because you're interviewing us, but there's a lot of books like that we've read that have always stayed with us, like Good in Bed by Jennifer Weiner or Something Borrowed by Emily Giffin, you know, the classics.
And then there's the writing. There's the books like On Writing by Stephen King, and we have several of those too. But I think it's mostly been reading.
Fiction. Yeah, I think the fiction inspires us a lot.
Great. Well, I think that brings us about to the end of our event tonight. Before I let everyone go, I just wanted to remind you that the books are for sale, and I was wrong earlier. Sales close tonight, so you can purchase a signed and personalized copy of Your Perfect Life right here on this page. There you go. There's a free promotion. Again, those sales will close tonight. So make sure to get your order in now, and Liz and Lisa will sign and personalize the copy for you, and the book stall will ship it right to your door. We'd like to give a big thank you to the book stall for hosting the event. Thank you to everyone who joined us tonight and submitted questions. Liz, Lisa, and Allison, it was such a pleasure to have you joining us tonight on Book Talk Nation. I think we might have lost Allison, but it was a pleasure to have you all join it. It was right at the perfect time, right at the end. It was a pleasure to have you join us tonight. And so thank you very much for joining. And thank you to Liz and Lisa and Allison. Have a good night, everybody.
She's sorry. She's frozen out, and she's trying to get back in, so she's saying bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Yeah.